This episode is brought to you by my one and only food and mood journal. This is an 8-week food and mood journal and planner for beginners where you can track how food affects your mood, your hunger, and your energy levels. Are you sick and tired of promising yourself to stop binge eating? Do you feel out of control with food and you just don't know why you overeat? You might have intense cravings leading to self-sabotage. My food and mood journal is the perfect tool to help you tune into your signals that your body sends you. And by tracking what you eat and drink will help you give insight on how food affects your moods. This is an 8-week kickstart to mindful eating to help you identify the triggers that make you want to eat when you're not physically hungry. So this includes a food tracker, a mood and stress tracker, because we know that stress eating can also lead to overeating. We also have an 8-week goals tracker with journal prompts and affirmations. You'll also track things like your water intake and exercise. It makes a beautiful gift for anyone who feels out of control with food. It's an easy to use journal and it will give you just the insights to help you get on the path to stop binge eating, emotional eating, or any other form of overeating. So get your food and mood journal today by clicking the link in the show notes. Thank you. Welcome to Beyond Overeating by Wholesome Lifestyle Project, the Overeating podcast, where I'll be showing up weekly to share with you what I've learned during my binge eating recovery, helpful tools such as yoga, mindfulness, and energy medicine. My name is Stell, and my purpose is to inform and educate so that you can fast track your recovery in healing your relationship with food and finally trust yourself around the peanut butter jar. Join me as I share top tips, my struggles and triumphs to help inspire or just entertain. Remember, there is nothing wrong with you if you can't stop overeating. That's why I'm here to guide you along. Welcome back to the 50th episode of the Beyond Overeating podcast. And I just wanted to start this episode with absolute gratitude for everyone tuning in, weekly supporting me through listening and tuning in, writing your reviews, and also just sharing this with your friends. So if you are just joining me, welcome. This is the Beyond Overeating podcast by Wholesome Lifestyle Project. My name is Coombe-Heath. I'm a binge and emotional eating recovery specialist, and I help mainly women have a better relationship with food and their bodies so that they can actually end the war with food, feel comfortable in their own skin. And I do that through providing simple yet applicable tools that's just easy to use so that they can stop binge eating, have a better relationship with their bodies, and eventually feel confident and fall in love with themselves again. So I am excited about today's episode because it is the 50th one. And I was like, well, what do I do? Do I actually celebrate this? Or do I actually just carry on as per normal activities if nothing happened? And I thought, you know what? I like celebrating milestones and I love celebrating little things along the way. So why would my podcast be any different? So I wanted to share one or two little things, some highlights throughout my journey as a support here for you in the podcast, as well as just a few episodes that have really stood out for me that you can go back to, and just a few like little looking back and just feeling kind of excited about the fact that there's been 50 episodes here and that you keep joining in and listening and supporting me. So I wanted to start today with celebrating just my journey as a podcaster, my journey as a recovery specialist, has in 50 episodes means roughly about 50 odd weeks, probably a few more. But so a lot can change over 50 weeks, and a lot of things, can transpire along the way. And I'm in particular really, really excited about the way that I now offer my services to anyone who needs my help. And I've streamlined how that works. There's only 3 ways you can work with me right now, and that is through my Food Zombie Challenge, which started this week. I'm so excited. I have the most amazing women on there. We've created this little sisterhood, and it is just such a fantastic place to be if you are just starting with binge eating recovery. That's a 30-day challenge. I run these at different times of the year. And what I love about this challenge is I never started on the first of the month. And the reason for this is because we always say that at the beginning of the month, I'm going to do this. On the 1st of January, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. So none of my challenges, none of my programs ever start on the first week of the month, just because I am trying to get people out of that rewiring of their brains. I've actually done that for a particular reason. And a lot of people are like, well, why can't we just start on the 1st? Because that's when I like to set my goals. And that's when I normally start my challenges. And I'm like, well, that's exactly why. I want you to break out and rewire the way you think about your lifestyle, the way you think about being with food. It does not start at the beginning of the month or the beginning of the week or the beginning of the year. We can start at any time. Okay, so I love this challenge. Food Zombie Challenge was born when I came up with the Food Zombies. If you are like new to this episode and you're like, what is she talking about? I have no idea. I'd love for you to go and listen to episode 3. It's going to give you a background of why you binge and why you feel out of control with food. And episode 10 talks about the food zombies and who they are and how they relate. You are also welcome to take my quiz, which will tell you your binge eating personality, which is related to a food zombie. So this challenge helps my participants or those who take part to really start looking at ways to handle constant food thoughts. And that section is called Zap Food Thoughts. We also have Overcome Nighttime Eating, Managing Anxiety with Food. B is for Beat Self-Sabotage. I is for Ignore Food and Body Rules. And E is Enjoy Food Freedom. So I take them on a little journey, and in 30 days, you can actually achieve so much. So unfortunately, the challenge has started, and you can hop on the wait list for the next one if you would like to join us next time. I'll pop that into the show notes. The next way you can work with me is through my 8-week Rewire Your Overeating Brain Mastermind. And this again is a sisterhood of women, amazing tribes of women who get together, and they don't really they show up first week and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't really understand that so many people have the same issues as me. And I'm so glad that I'm on this journey with someone who understands me. So Stella understands me, but there's someone else who's still going through the steps with me. And I think there's so much power in community when we are going through something together. So I absolutely love the Rewire Your Overeating Brain Mastermind as well. The last way you can work with me is one-on-one. And this is more of a deep dive. I don't take many one-on-one clients anymore. And the reason for that is, they need 100% focus and attention and awareness. And I absolutely love my one-on-ones. But I only have so much time to do one-on-ones. And unfortunately, I can't fit in more than my capacity will allow. So those are kind of rare, but I do still offer that because I do feel like there's different people who prefer different types of support. So that's pretty much just the way I've evolved my offerings in the last few months. And I feel like everything, there's a sense of support for every single person along the journey. It doesn't matter where they're at. And that's what's exciting about my programs and the offerings. The results, varies obviously from person to person, but in most of these programs, I have a 98% success rate where people stop binge eating in the first 6 to 8 weeks. And that is a really, really great place to be in from that perspective. And I really enjoy these programs. I absolutely love being on this journey with my clients and sharing my experiences along the way as well. I often talk about the way I all of a sudden had a donut craving, for example, or like an urge to eat donuts, or I'll talk about my memories of me lying on the pantry floor, just crying my heart out because I've just been so, I was just so tired of the cycle that I was on day in and day out. And I was just really sick and tired of it. I also share journeys about my dieting history. I did an episode a while ago where I shared that I've been over 25 diets since the age of 15. Some of those diets I repeated over and over again. Other diets, maybe only once, one hit wonder, but they all gave me the same results. And that was back to binge eating, back to purging with exercise, or sometimes more serious things such as diuretics or injections. And I am not advertising this as a way to move forward. I actually feel like these things are so damaging, and we can do so much damage with our bodies with all these ways of purging and making up for eating. So yeah, that's basically my journey from the podcast perspective. I'm so excited. If you are watching the episode on video on YouTube, I've also since released the food and mood journal, which, oh my gosh, I am just so happy that people have this as a resource. I've had feedback from clients who have used this and strangers who have used this, and they have just found that even just from 1 week of moving through the actions and noting down even their positive thoughts or their gratitudes along with what they eat has affected their food choices. And they've also realized that how their food choices are affected by their mood. So it's such a great resource. If you don't have a copy yet, it's out on Amazon. I'll pop the link into the show notes as well. It's a great 8-week little mindfulness journey when it comes to your eating without any diet mentality. So I wanted to share quickly just a few reviews from my podcast. And if you haven't left a review yet and you feel like you getting a lot of value out of this podcast, I'd love for you to go and leave a review, because that means that more people will see this and more people will be able to find my podcast, and I'd be extremely grateful if you do. So just a few from the last few weeks. Jamie 2452 said, Beyond Overeating is a really valuable source of knowledge about the science of overeating, as well as practical tips to help overcome it. Stell is doing important work. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. It really means a lot to me that you find this so valuable to yourself. And I'm so glad that you have found my podcast. toempower.co said, Estelle's knowledge and commitment to her audience is second to none. Oh, thank you so much, my love. I really appreciate you taking the time to leaving the review. And then Jen said, I'm so excited to have a platform where I can learn the real reasons behind my eating behaviors. And you're so welcome, Jen. I absolutely love the fact that you have found this platform, and hopefully you are getting the support that you need through the tools or resources that I share, the tips that I share on a weekly basis. I'm so grateful that you are here. If you are listening to this episode and you would love to leave a rating, you're welcome to go to iTunes and do so. Also follow me on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, I think you can now leave ratings on Spotify as well. So make sure to leave a rating wherever you're listening to. I would really love to read those out in my next celebration, which will be the 100 episode mark. I can't wait for that. I also wanted to just revise a few of my episodes, which really added a lot of awareness, and also a lot of people enjoyed these episodes. They tagged me in their stories on Instagram or Facebook. They shared these episodes. They have been really just taking it into their stride, and that means a lot to me. And I think these episodes are definitely some that you can go back to and listen to. So, just a little background if you're not sure who I am and how these episodes came about. For many years, I didn't think I had a binge eating problem. I thought food was the problem. And so I looked for solutions in diets, in cleanses, in injections, in pills to help me stop overeating, to help me not binge. And every single one of the solutions I looked for, the gurus I followed, everything led me back into the binge guilt cycle. And it was never really, really an easy journey for me. I felt alone, and I felt like there was just no hope for me. At one point, I thought, well, this is just going to be my life. I'm going to have to run hundreds of thousands of kilometers every single week, work out at the gym like a mad person. And then, so that I can just be kind of normal with my binge eating. And it was really frustrating. I really, really would start a new diet with hope, as you do. And about 2-3 weeks later, I'd be back into disappointment. So my podcast comes from a space of understanding, but also lessons I have learned through the journey. So the very first episode of this podcast has probably been one of my most popular episodes, and that is where I go into what is defined as overeating. Because there's a lot of people nowadays, or a lot of diet culture jargon that describes eating one chocolate as a binge, or eating one cookie as losing control with food. And so what we do is we feel like we have lost control, when sometimes maybe overeating is just overeating. So in that episode, I go into understanding what is overeating and what to look for. And this is mainly, the way I've laid it out is really about your thoughts, your behaviors, and your emotions around food, because that is the way we are wired, through thoughts, emotions, and that drives our behavior. So you're welcome to go and re-listen to that episode. Gives you a really clear understanding of whether you actually are a binge eater or not. We then have episode 3. And episode 3 is one of the biggest lessons I learned through this, was that it wasn't an issue of willpower. There was a biological and survival reason why I was binge eating. And I go through this in episode 3, where I take you through the 3 reasons why everyone binges. And there has never been really a variation of these 3 that I've seen through working with my clients, through chatting to people on social media. These are just the way that I understand binge eating, but also the science points a lot to these 3 reasons. So I'd love for you to go and listen to episode 3 if you are new here and you're wanting to understand more about your binge eating. I've also mentioned episode 10, where I talk about the food zombies. That is also just a great way for you to understand that you are not alone, and that these personas come up for every single one of my clients in different ways. Those personas came up for me in different times of my life. Sometimes I had all of them, sometimes just some of them. The next episode, which is, has really stood out for me, was episode 17, where I really go into the raw and honest truth about my struggles with food, with binge eating and orthorexia. And, I am always open to share my journey and share where I've been. And this was just one of those episodes where I kind of just opened up and laid it all out there. So if you would like to feel less lonely on your binge eating journey, I'd love for you to listen to that episode. Next, another episode that stood out for me was my interview with Ioana Amabuti, where she talks about her breakup with the scale. And this was just such a popular episode as well, because so many people feel like they are just needing to get on the scale every single day. I mean, I used to get on the scale at least 3 times a day, one in the morning, after I peed, obviously. And if I went for a run, then I'd get back on the scale after the run in the morning, and then I'd get back on the scale in the evenings. And Ioana had even more of an intense relationship with the scale, and she actually wrote a book about it. And I thought that, her way of just understanding how that relationship with the scale was skewed is just such a great aha moment for me as well. I could relate to that a lot, and a lot of people have said that they could relate to that episode as well. And the last one is episode 11 on how to manage your food urges and cravings. So that is a great episode for you to tune in and get. This is a bit of a longer episode, because this was actually a webinar or a talk that I did for a community. And so there's a lot of valuable information in that episode for you to go and listen to. I'd love to know what your favorite episode was. You can message me on wholesomelifestyleproject.com. If you open my website, there is a little chat function. You are welcome to let me know there what your favorite episode was, or you're welcome to actually ask for and make a episode request. If there's something that you wanted to know or something that you wanted more clarity on, I'd love for you to reach out and send me a request, and I will make sure that I get onto those episodes, because I'm here to help you. And the more I know about what you would like from a healing perspective and from information perspective, the more I can actually help you through your journey as well. So I love to be interactive with my audience. And yeah, so if you ever feel like this is a source and a resource that you would like to get some curated information from, where I'm not going to bullshit you, I'm not going to give you the fluff, I am also not going to give you things that are damaging or triggering to, set you back off into paths that are unhealthy or disordered. So I'd love to hear from you. So Send me your requests, send me your feedback, let me know which episodes really related to you. I'm so excited to be back here next week with another episode where we'll get more into the thick of content and just sharing some more tips. But thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for listening every week. I do really appreciate every single one of you, and I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Mwah. Bye. Along the way. Thank you so much for joining me today, and don't forget to share this with all your friends. You can do this by adding this to your Instagram story and tagging me at Wholesome Lifestyle Project, or by simply telling them about it. If you could rate and review on whatever platform you are listening, this will go a long way in helping me get this podcast out there so that I can share my message and help as many women out there struggling with food issues as I can. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram on Wholesome Lifestyle Project or connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Coombe-Heath, and that's where you'll find me on LinkedIn. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.